today we are talking all about career changes. And I already did a video where I talked specifically about my personal story of how I switched careers. I'll link it up here somewhere. Not what we're talking about today. Go check that out if you want to learn more. Today is more just talking about all that goes into it and kind of the mindset and the thinking behind it. So it's going to be a chatty one. Grab a beverage. Let's just dive in. I've got a few thoughts that I was just kind of jotting down off the dome, and yeah, let's get into it. First thing, when you're even thinking about it of like, okay, I know I want to change my career, I want to do something else. What's like the next thing you should be thinking about? I think most of us think that we can just make the instant leap. Like, let's say I am a nurse, but now I want to become a marketing manager. It's not an instant leap. I think you have to really leverage what you have. And what I mean by that is you have to think about kind of the in-between. Okay, like my example, I was a nurse and now I want to be a marketing manager. Okay, what are some of the in-between steps that might get me to that? You want to gain exposure into this industry that you're trying to get into, whether that's finding people for informational interviews, volunteering, webinars. Are there people in your life that are currently doing something similar that you could even talk to? That's what I mean by leveraging what you already have, because you do already have something. You're in a current career. It may not be what you want to do, but there's a good chance that there are skills that you have that are transferable. There are people that you know that might be related to something. So don't feel like you have to go from 0 to 60 right away, because that can feel really overwhelming a little bit and almost debilitating, where it's like, oh my God, I need it all planned out. You don't need it all planned out. Not right now, at least. You know, consider part-time roles, internships, volunteering. Like I said in my example, if I'm a nurse and I want to do marketing, be a marketing manager, maybe you start by offering to manage social media for some local businesses near you that don't actually have a presence. Like, that could be something that could just get you started. And that can even relate to any transferable skills that you have. I promise you, there's always like a through line between so many careers that I don't think people realize. Like, most of the time, a lot of careers probably have a lot of things in common. You're probably collaborating with people. You're probably talking to customers, clients, whatever it might be. There's probably a through line. So think about what that transferable skill might be and what that could look like for you. Let's talk about money. Let's talk about finances, because honestly, I think this is the biggest thing that is holding people back. Most of us do not have the financial security blanket of just being like, I'm going to quit my job, I'm going to switch careers, study, do something else, and just go. Most of us do not have that. I did not have that. You know, I could not quit my job to learn to become a designer and then just get the job. It took me like 8 months to do a boot camp and another 6 months to find a job. So in that 14-month span, I could not have an income, you know? And I think people don't like to say this because I, was looking around some other things. I don't think people like to touch on it, but it's so true. Most of us cannot do it. We don't have an inheritance. We don't have huge sums of money coming in. You probably don't have a super high paying job if you're maybe looking at something else. And I think that's okay. You just have to call it out. And that's what I wanted to say, guys. Like, it's okay, because I was in that exact same situation. And, I'm just out here trying to be real with you guys, because that was my story. That really goes into like the fear around it. I think obviously we're scared to jump ship for a few different reasons. Maybe the work you currently do is pretty easy. It's pretty laid back. Why would you want to work harder? Maybe you really like your coworkers. Even if it's a toxic environment, how many of us have stayed too long at a job because we were too comfortable? Like, that is just the reality of it. Eventually you'll get to a point where enough is enough almost. And even before you get to that point, I think it would be smart to just try to squirrel away any money that you can. Maybe if you know, like, hey, I'm going to quit my job by, I don't know, June 1st. I now need to think about how much I need to save by June 1st, squirrel away my paychecks, whatever it is, to give myself a little bit of a buffer. I don't want you guys to just jump into this with no security, no safety blanket, not in this capitalist society, not in this economy. We're not doing that. So if you can just think ahead of what can I put away to make it easier on my future self, you're gonna just take a lot of stress off yourself. Now, this is when our good budgeting tips come in. This is where we're sacrificing things. Or you can also just try to supplement side hustles, part-time gigs, driving for Amazon, doing any of the things. Like, you guys know side hustles that you could probably do to supplement that, just to make that job change a little bit easier on yourself, because finances are so they're hard. I don't want it to make it any harder while you're already doing something that's very difficult by switching in a different career. So try to do your future self a favor. Now that you've kind of had an idea of like what you're going to do in the in-between, you might have your finance plan figured out, let's say. Where do you even start? There are so many free resources that you can start, even paid resources if you really want to dive in. There is Coursera classes that some of them are for free. LinkedIn Learning has a lot of good stuff. Skillshare, obviously a big popular one. Even like YouTube or free webinars. I'd probably start with the free route, since we're talking about money. Start off with something free. When I was looking into UX design, I did a free Coursera class, but I did it just to even get a sense of like, okay, what can this possibly look like? I was living on YouTube University, trying to see what a UX designer does. And once I kind of had a good feeling about it, that's when I dived in and did a boot camp. So there's so many resources out there just to even like kind of get a feel for what you like. We're just in such a wonderful information age where you can find anything online. So you really use that to your advantage and just kind of see. Even if you need to take a career test, you have no idea. That's out there too, you know, like let's say you are an accountant right now, but you really like graphic design. Take a graphic design course through Adobe Illustrator or Photoshop. You know, these are the kinds of things that can just help you narrow down what you like. Also, in terms of not even just about the learning part, you might be wanting to make a career change because you want to do something a little bit more enjoyable for yourself. I'm not a graphic designer, but I follow a few people on TikTok that just design logos, and I'll put some up on the screen. I love looking at this stuff. You know, this is the kind of stuff that's exciting for me, and it's not even the career that I'm doing, but also look at other avenues like social media, like Instagram, TikTok. There's really cool people doing really cool things, and that can just be something that could be a little bit of a catalyst for you to obviously look into the courses and the education, but don't forget the enjoyment factor. That's probably one of the reasons why you're switching. Don't think of a career change as one big step. Really, it's a lot of small incremental steps. Everything that I talked about are small incremental changes that you can make to get to that career change. You know, we all hate the phrase, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. In this case, it's probably true. It's actually both. You want to get to the destination, but the journey is really where you're going to have to put in the work. And that's okay. I know it's kind of scary to do something different. I know firsthand what that is like, but you know, we all know the saying, life is short, but sometimes life is long, guys, especially your work life. Like if you are in your 20s, early 30s, the more that you can prepare yourself now, I think the better it'll go, the better mindset that you'll have, and you know, the quicker you'll get into that new career. That is my rant, that is my speech. If you want to learn more about exactly how I went from an interior designer to a UX designer, check out this video here.